Taking a peek at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Ford Explorer. And this is going to be for the 2025 plus models. First thing I'm going to point out is that the steering wheel inside of the Ride has the option for heat. So you could toggle your heated seats on, but also your heated steering wheels. Steering wheel at the top, heated seats there. If ventilated seats were available in your Explorer, you could also toggle it on that way too. Straightforward. From there, most of the versions of the Explorer are going to have a power telescoping steering wheel. If it's manual, just release it in between your legs there, but power adjustable so you can go in, out, up, and down in order to create that perfect position for you. One really cool thing though is that once you have the steering wheel set up the way that you'd like to, your side view mirror the way that you'd like to, and your driver's seat the way that you'd like, you can push and hold either 1, 2, or 3 along the door in order for it to remember your own personal profile. Very useful, and you can even have it locked into your individual key fob. So if there are multiple people driving, or even like let's say 2, you could have it set up through the infotainment system by setting up a profile. You can have it linked to your key fob, so your seat memory, when you approach with your fob, it's automatically going to adjust to you. But if you want to walk through on the infotainment system, you'll find it down below. You've got your stick on the left-hand side for flashing at your high beams and for your blinker. If you wanted to permanently lock your high beams out, so right now I'm in the auto light mode. So down by your left knee, you can adjust out to different modes. Auto mode has the option of adjusting for auto high beams. So what that means is that if the vehicle recognizes your high beams are needed, it's going to turn them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it's going to turn them off before flipping them right back on again. But if you want to permanently lock your high beams out, you just have to get into the headlamp mode. You push away to lock the high beams out, pull towards you in order to turn them off again. So it's straightforward from that perspective. But there's also, you can see there along the door, a little bit of ambient lighting in a few different spots of the vehicle, and you can adjust the color out inside of the screen here as well. So if you wanted it to be a nice blue instead, green, whatever the case may be, you've got the flexibility to adjust it out. But it's hard to see right now. Yeah, it's in the auto mode, but at night it looks really sharp. So that's one thing that you want to do if you wanted to be able to lock out your high beams that way. Stick on the right-hand side is going to be for your wipers. So you've got your basic wiper speed there. When you're up 1 level, you could then adjust the stick here, or this little rocker in the middle, and that's how fast rain is hitting the windshield. Through the screen, you'd also have the option of setting up rain-sensing wipers and a few other things. You're going to pull towards you for the front wiper fluid. You can push away for the rear because there's a button on the tip of the stick if you wanted to be able to turn on your rear wiper. And then there are so many buttons. So along the left-hand side here, you've got a volume button. So volume up versus volume down. You can mute out as well. And then there's adaptive cruise control. And technically there are 3 different types of cruise. So you've got normal cruise, there's going to be adaptive cruise control, and then there's also going to be the option for BlueCruise, which is full hands-free driving. So inside of your cruise control screen, so normal cruise is exactly that. Let's say if you set it at 100 kilometers an hour, car in front of you slows down, yours will not brake. With the adaptive cruise control system, if the car in front of you slows down, yours will brake. But it's going to bring you back up to your previously set speed again. It's really cool. And then there's BlueCruise, which is full hands-free driving. So this little guy along the top of the steering wheel has a few cameras in it, and those are watching your eyes. So on highways, interstates, things like that, when it's available, the cluster screen will go blue, and then it's full hands-free driving. So you don't need to be touching the steering wheel. You can even take your feet off the gas and the brake because it's like adaptive cruise control on steroids. It's such a cool system. But in a nutshell, how the system works. So you toggle cruise control on this way. You then have a distance indicator. So how close or far are you away from the vehicle that's in front of you? I normally, residential streets would set it to level 1. Highways, interstates, level 2, maybe level 3, depending on your own personal preference level. Once you get up to the speed that you'd like, or even at a lower speed, you then push up or down to set your speed. And then you can push up or down to go 1 kilometer or 1 mile up or down. You could push and hold up to get to the nearest 10 for kilometers an hour or the nearest 5 miles. So if you're at, let's say, 37 kilometers an hour, push and hold up, it'll bring you to 40, 50, 60, etc. Push and hold down, it'll do the opposite. You can hit here to cancel your speed, you can hit the brake to cancel your speed, and then you push in to resume your previously set speed. Then there's this button, and that's the lane keeping system. So you do need to have the lane keeping system turned on in order for the BlueCruise system to actively work. But it's such a cool one because there's lane centering that's available, and that means that it's going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane. There's lane repositioning as well. So what that does is that if you're driving on a multi-lane highway and the vehicle recognizes that, let's say there's a truck on your left-hand side or even a car, and they're hugging the left side of their lane and it's getting close to you, your car will automatically shift you to the outside of your lane. So it's in-lane repositioning. It works really, really cool. But if you want to see the adaptive cruise control system in person and how that works, check down in the description of this video. From here, you've got other options along the side, so you could change between songs this way. And actually, if we go into our radio for a second, so I'm currently connected to USB, but you've got the option of going AM, FM, Sirius XM. Watch this. 94.9 FM.
Got it. This is 94.9 FM.
You can adjust your song or your station that way instead. You can adjust your climate using your voice. You can adjust the fan speed using your voice. If you have presets set up, you could jump between all of your available presets. You can push and hold as well if you wanted it to act as a seek button. But using your voice is the best option. You can do it this way, or you could say, "Hey Google," and that's going to activate your assistant that way instead. It's really neat. And then you've got a series of different switches to go between the cluster screen options, and let's actually dive into the cluster. So along the outside, you can see what's currently going on. So you've got your current odometer, what gear you're in, so whether that's park, reverse, neutral, drive, etc., or your low gear. If the auto start stop system's engaged, you can turn that one on just down the center stack there, so underneath the media screen. And then you've got your current tachometer, you've got your speedometer, you've got whether or not the cruise control system's turned on, if your lane keeping system's turned on or off, your current fuel gauge as well. So you've got your current fuel with your kilometers or miles until empty. And then you've got a switch to move between different options here. And watch, okay, so you've got your basic fuel economy. So you can push and hold OK to reset. It's brutal right now. It's saying 97 liters per 100, but it's because I'm parked doing an explainer video. So you can reset it by pushing and holding. Going down is going to be your trip counter. Same idea. You could do a push and hold there if you wanted to reset. You've got your tire pressure available, and then you can configure the screen, but there's one more, and that is your map view. Watch this. Boom. Full map and cluster inside of the Explorer now, which is amazing. So if you have an active route going, you'll be able to see not just your turn-by-turn directions, but you can see your full map and cluster as you drive. It is such a cool feature. You could drop down, and then if you had a route going, there would also be the option just for turn-by-turn directions if you didn't want that full map and cluster view, but I love that. And then you can hit the OK button here in order to move into this option. There's a calming view. You can see driver assistance settings. There's different trip counters and off-road counter, seat belts and things like that. And you can see here, it's actually grayed some options out because there's a maximum number of options you can select. So once we hit that max, no other options are available from there. But if you hit back now, we see we've got into a bunch of additional pages. So we've got a basic calming view. So if you don't like, look at that. If you'd like things a little bit more subtle, you've got that flexibility. And then as you turn on the different cruise control systems and things like that, that would show up. BlueCruise on this screen looks really cool. You've got your driver assistance settings, your map view again, fuel economy, trip info. We did off-road status, so you could see your steering angle there. So as we adjust through, vehicle pitch and roll as well. So useful if you are planning on going off-road. You can see your temp gauges too. Straightforward. And that's just configuring it using that. So you've got your back button to move between different screens there. You can hit the menu button in order to get to a few other options too. So you've got your My View, and that's this. So My View is these configurable screens. So you've got different options there. If you hit menu, you can go to your different trip counters. So your fuel economy, trip 1 versus trip 2, your vehicle status. So you're essentially diving into all of the additional options. Vehicle maintenance for oil life and tire pressure. There's audio. So if you wanted to go AM, FM, Sirius XM, it's essentially whatever audio sources are currently available. If you had a phone connected, there would be options there. And then you could do a little split screen there as well for your speed. So do you want to be in miles, kilometers, etc.? And then if you wanted to change it out to liters per 100, miles per gallon, etc., that's all done through the infotainment system instead. The screen, like I said, I love what Ford has done with the cluster screen here and even the infotainment system. It's just such a huge night and day difference from the previous gen system. So I know that is a lot of information though, but that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Ford Explorer.